I'm back once again to praise Joseph's game in Big Brother 24. Kyle definitely deserves some credit, which I will get to. I have a lot to say about Kyle. I have a lot to say about a lot of the fucks in this game, okay? But we're going to start with Joseph. You know, all of the hilarity about it on social media, because this was Joseph's 25th birthday, and how they all say the brain fully develops at 25. All very hilarious on social media, because it seems so true that Joseph turned 25 and suddenly he has the biggest brain in the house. And not only the biggest brain in the house, but the guts to make moves, the guts to flip the house, and so much more. Joseph has been on one in all the right ways, and I mean, it's not even an opinion. Joseph has made the biggest move in Big Brother over the past 10 seasons, because it has been season after season of one dominant alliance, and everybody that's an outsider never gets it together, and they just get picked off, or they'll get it together for a week but still get picked off. I don't know if I count Big Brother Over the Top in this, because that was the genuine split house that did go back and forth. But Big Brother 20, that split house was still just one alliance dominating the other. There was no real power shifts that season. So the fact that on week 3 of Big Brother show we're actually seeing a power shift is huge, because it's been so long that we've seen an actual strategic move like this. And honestly, just creating big alliances is not some mastermind strategy. I don't give a flying fuck what Derek says about it, because he thinks he created this. Like, this is just the biggest move you can make, is create a big alliance, because creating alliances is the most basic bare bones strategy in this game. Since Survivor Season 1 in the year 2000, creating an alliance is what helped Richard Hatch get the win. So this is the most basic part of the game, is having this, whether it's a looser alliance or not, having an alliance is the basic necessity in this game. So coming into a game creating these big alliances is not a big move, because it either starts from the HOH having power being able to create it, or enough people hate the HOH that they create it. But what Joseph did is honestly not even that far from basic either, because this has been going on. Power shifts have been going on since Survivor Season 4. But I still think, because of how the gameplay has been on Big Brother for so long, it's been so bad for so long, and there's been so many sheep for so long, like I've been saying for 2.5 weeks now. Joseph, who was at the very bottom with Turner last week, finding out the vote last, is the one that took the initiative to push information in this game, to figure out Amira's game and the girls' game, spread information to the right people that were also kind of outsiders, and get this ball rolling. And it flips the people that were on the very bottom, which were, I would say, Joseph, Turner, Taylor, and Brittany, and now puts them on top of the game along with Kyle and Monty and Michael. So I think Joseph has pulled off one of the biggest moves in Big Brother history, honestly, because we don't see this kind of gameplay on Big Brother as somewhat basic as you would think it would be. The outsiders, or in this case as they're calling themselves, the leftovers, never get it together in time, or even at all. Most of the time do they even get it together before they start getting picked off. So Joseph, to pull this off at the right time, push it at the right time, huge. And I also appreciate how Joseph, with the house still shunning Taylor, has been the one talking to Taylor no matter what anybody else thinks. No matter that Amira's been basically following him around because of it. So apparently at 25, Joseph's balls dropped as well, and I appreciate that. And before we talk about Kyle's deal in all of this, let's talk about Daniel and Nicole, who have been getting a lot of blasted, per usual, on social media, and much deserved. Nicole yesterday used her mother having cancer as gameplay, which I think is sick and twisted, and not even in a good way to use it. She came out of the DR crying. People thought it was her mother, and it's only because she had a rough DR session. I guess she's feeling guilty on her conscience. I don't know. But then Nicole and Daniel used this opportunity to just bash Taylor, while at the exact same time, Taylor's talking about with Monty how she's not religious, but they should still say a prayer for Nicole's mother because that's what everybody thinks this is about. And then later, Daniel gets into it with Taylor. Daniel deserves the shitstorm he's going to get after this season. I don't know how he has all of this confidence as an Elvis impersonator to think he's going to be okay after this game. Daniel's clearly somebody who needs the money, but he's taking this game into weird directions for his hatred for Taylor, which once again, let's talk about Taylor because it makes no sense. She's done nothing to these people. This is why it's been called the microaggressions, why she's been... It seems like a race issue because what else would it be? She's done nothing to these people. Yes, there was some jealousy, but it's a race issue. And Daniel trying to throw Paloma in her face, saying Taylor's the reason Paloma left the game. First of all, shouldn't actually be fair in the game. Big Brother Canada has many a times sat the cast down and ran tapes so that certain things cannot be used for gameplay and to prove certain things that people did or didn't say, or they don't like certain things being used for gameplay. Because Big Brother Canada, even though I have faults with it in its modern seasons, Big Brother Canada is a real production. But Big Brother US don't do any of these things. They never have. So I don't think it's fair that Daniel is even able to throw that in Taylor's face because Paloma is a quitter and left the show or was forced to leave the show. Either way, it shouldn't be able to be used as gameplay. But Joseph said something to Taylor that I think was a powerful statement. He said, just because you're strong doesn't give us grounds to test how strong you are. And this is something that I just don't think a lot of white people understand. I don't even think other non-black minorities really understand this unless you are really good friends with a black person or have dated black people. Like for me, not until I dated some black women did I really understand how deep problems go, like in the workplace. Like you have to be 3 times as good just to get the same respect as some white people at some jobs. The microaggressions at jobs, the fact there is a certain subset of white people that treat black people like they have to always be hyper masculine, like they're so strong and they can withstand everything, like they're almost not human. And I think this quote was a good example of what the house has been doing to Taylor, because she's been able to be strong about this, because black people unfortunately go through this in real life constantly, whether it's in the workplace or not. It is a major issue, and I'm glad that at least half of the house, sees this now and is trying to treat Taylor like a human. Wow, what a big concept. And Kyle has also been a big part of this, pushing very hard to get all of the people in the Leftover Alliance in the same room last night. He was camped out in front of the DR for a while, and I will say I was wrong about Kyle. My first impression of Kyle, because he comes from this Republican background and because he was on TikTok looking ignorant, is that he was going to come in here and be a typical ignorant Republican. And he said some ignorant shit. He talked about how his grandmother's racist and tried to play that off like it's just a kooky personality trait. So we also typecast people like Kyle, because he comes from a Republican upbringing, when he's actually been one of the only people who has consistently tried to kind of want to work with Taylor. He was always pushed out of working with Taylor until now, and now maybe it's a big reason why he wants to grab his game by the horns and maybe take control of the game, even if I think that it makes his game harder because I don't think he was at the bottom. I think he had a good shot at playing the middle. So Kyle doing a good job of breaking stereotypes himself. And in reality, and I can't wait to talk about this because people get up in arms about politics, but let's talk about liberals for a second. Because I've talked shit about conservatives, but I've also talked shit about liberals. I'm an independent. But liberals like Daniel and Michael have shown the fakery and the weak bullshit that goes into being a liberal, because you have people like Daniel, a Californian, who the first week was acting like he didn't want to be seen as racist. All of this act he's been doing, and ever since then he's been one of the worst people in the house with the shit he talks about Taylor. And then there's Michael, who knows what's going on, has been seeing what's going on, but he doesn't have the backbone to do anything about it. Michael, who's a super fan of this game, knows the history of the racism of this game, but would still rather, play this weak little game from the bottom, which I think he would have been okay, yes, for his game, but as a person, it makes me question him, because it's very, very liberal. Liberals talk this big game constantly, but when it comes right down to it, there's a lot of fakeness in it, because it's usually either all for clout. Actually, most of the time it's all for clout. Let's be real. It's to feel morally superior, but when it actually comes to acting on it, we see failure here from these two. But the reason I give Joe the most credit for this move is because he flipped himself from the bottom to the top, while also flipping other people like Turner and Taylor and Brittany from the bottom to the top, because he had the balls to get the ball rolling, not give a shit what else was happening in the house, push this to happen, and have the smarts to figure it all out. Kyle deserves credit, but he's gone from kind of being in the middle to kind of making himself the leader of this alliance, which for now would be good, but I actually think that makes his game harder, because he wasn't on the bottom. He is now going to be seen as one of the more bigger targets in the game, which you'd think Michael would too, because he's won a lot of vetoes. But half the house is so dumb right now. What are you going to do? And I don't know if this split house is really... It's going to be a steamroll too, because the people on the other side now of the leftovers, I don't know if I've even said the full group yet, is Taylor, Brittany, Kyle, Monty, Joseph, and Michael. Am I forgetting somebody? Turner. He's very forgettable. But then the other side, these people are so oblivious to what's really going on, because they think, because the Amiras and the Jasmines think, and Nicole's and even Daniel's think they've been pushing their own agenda so hard lately, and it's been going through that they think they have this game won. Amira's like, I didn't think this game would be so easy. Little does she know she's about to get backdoored. And so if Amira goes, the other side probably crumbles, because we already have players like Jasmine wanting to go after their own, like Indy. Indy's another person that's been on the bottom of this game, but she's not on the leftovers, and it's kind of her own fault. She has not played this game hard. It's kind of what you get. So I still see this turning into a steamroll, but at least we got a power shift before the steamroll, because we usually never get that on this show, only on Survivor. But this is the first time all season that I have looked forward to the feeds tomorrow. Like, I want to watch the feeds tomorrow. I want to see the reactions of some of these terrible people, to see when Amira and Terrence are put up, and not Taylor and Nicole like everyone is expecting. Amira's, can't wait to see her reaction. She thinks the game's so easy right now. Should be fun. Unfortunately, I have to work tomorrow, so that annoys me. I'm going to have to go back and on the feeds and watch that happen. Watch the veto aftermath. But the game has definitely picked up the last 2 days. Joseph and Kyle really pushing this to happen. Being the kinds of players I like to watch, taking these kind of initiative to flip the house, to work with the outsiders. We just don't see this in Big Brother US, so it's crazy that we're actually seeing this, and that's why I give Joseph so much credit. He deserves so much credit. I'm rooting for Joseph to win, if not Taylor. I think Taylor has such a hard shot of winning this game. Not only does she have to, I mean, she's juked out of being voted out 3 weeks in a row when she was one of the main targets. So she has a game left in her. I just think she has a really hard game to have to get to the end and get the winning votes. I mean, she would have a hell of a good story if she gets to the end, honestly. Especially if some of these trash people are voted out pre-jury. That definitely helps her chances if she makes the end, from what I was thinking. But I also think Joseph is showing how good of a maneuverer he is in this game. And then, of course, Kyle, who I still think has one of the best shots with Michael, because I think Kyle has the best social game in the entire house. And then Michael, I don't know. I don't think Michael's game is that good. I think he's very passive. But I do think he has a lot of connections as well, although not as well as Kyle. One last thing I wanted to talk about Kyle, which was hilarious, was Kyle trying to talk to some of the guys in his alliance, but Alyssa would not leave him alone. Kyle tells her, let's play hide and seek. She goes to hide, and he never seeks her. Kyle's just been playing Alyssa like a fool, which I have found very hilarious. I also, like everybody already knows, that this all happened on Joseph's birthday, because Big Brother has had some classic birthdays in the history of the show. Now they have another one.